Waiting. Alrighty. I think we're live.
Awesome.
Cool. Good morning, everyone in the Ugly Mug marketing world, whether you are joining us from right here in Central Louisiana, in your home, in your office, or wherever in the world that you are. We are so excited that you're joining us this morning, and even more excited about our special guest, Mr. Eric Hultgren. He is the Director of Social Media and Content for MLive Media Group. And if you're not familiar with MLive Media Group, I'll let Eric share a little bit more, but my experience is that is where I keep in touch and get all of my news on social media, to stay in touch with all of my friends and family and everything that's happening in Grand Rapids, but also just across the state of Michigan as well. So welcome, Eric.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. Eric, if you just want to take a couple minutes here and introduce yourself,
Sure.
tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yep.
Real quick background though, I connected with Eric on LinkedIn, and he was offering 15-minute coffee virtual chats. And so I decided I would take him up on that. So really just want everyone who's tuning in live or who watches this later to be able to kind of eavesdrop in on our conversation and hopefully take some nuggets of information away. So go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, and I'm still doing those 15-minute like social consults or coffee meetings. So if anyone's watching this wants to jam for 15 or 20 minutes, I would love to do that. So I'll send you all that info and we can go from there. But yeah, my name's Eric Hultgren. I am originally from Chicago, Illinois. I was transplanted here. I spent 20 years working in radio at iHeartMedia in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and about 6 years ago transferred to MLive and the MLive Media Group. And so they're essentially two distinct entities within one company, right? So mlive.com is 8 newspapers over the state of Michigan rolled up into one website. That is what Hannah's referring to, where she gets all of her information. And then the other side of the organization is a full-fledged agency. So we do anything you can think of in the digital and physical space, right? With a print arm, we can do print, billboard, TV, all that stuff. And then my job is Director of Social Media and Content Marketing. And so I spent a bulk of my time helping clients figure out what to do when they're trying to start a TikTok channel or whatever they're trying to do,
Yeah, awesome. So right now we are in somewhat of an unprecedented time here for all kinds.
I feel like we should charge one another every time we say unprecedented, but yes, we are in unprecedented times.
Right. I know. I'm like, drop a quarter in the jar. Someone in marketing says unprecedented time.
Yes.
So just kind of wanted to pick your brain. We are also an agency, and so we serve a variety of different clients, but I would say the bulk of our clients are small businesses, entrepreneurs who are really just kind of at a loss because this is an unprecedented time. They're not really sure what they should be doing, what kind of content should they be posting? Should they even be posting at all anymore? Some people I feel like are struggling. They're like, well, we're kind of slowly disappearing off our social media. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Keep building content for your users. So I know this is like such a loaded question, but what should people be doing on their social media during this time right now?
So Hannah, I would say you and I are probably very similar in our views on how you use social. And I would say precedented time, unprecedented time, actual normal or new normal, whatever words you want to use. Great marketing tends to do the Phil Jackson, right? And go back to basics, winning championships. And I would say, if you disappear now, it's going to be very hard to get people's attention when they come back to whatever the normal is, right? And so what should you do? You should think like your customer. We have all struggled mightily in some cases and less so in others to understand how to use and leverage social to talk and act like a customer. Now is your time to practice, right? So let me give you an example. Here in the state of Michigan, we're in a shelter in place. And so salons are one of the organizations that can't open, right? They can't work with people. So some of the customers I've been working with have an e-commerce arm because they were prepared to do that. And so what I've been telling them to do is, what content do you make? Well, every day do a 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute tip using those products. This is how you do an at-home facial, right? And you're not selling, you're showing somebody how to brighten up their day when they've been stuck in their house for 21 straight days with the same 3 people driving them nuts, right? So And then what happens from a marketing perspective is you've now created a community of people that have watched that tip or those tips. And now, if you would like to, and you feel it's appropriate, you can circle back and then run some sort of soft ask of saying, we do have an e-commerce store if you would like to buy it. Right now is not necessarily the time to start figuring out that awesome funnel, right? That we're going to do awareness to convert. Like that's not what we should be doing right now. It should be branding and helping. And so whatever you are and whatever industry you're in, you have some way, shape, or form that you can help the consumer navigate through this. I've been breaking this up into 3 parts, right? People are looking to learn about COVID and how it's affecting them. They're also looking for distractions, like all the cat videos all at once. And then they're also looking for some sort of normal. People are shopping online because they're at home, right? So they're trying to get a book or do some home improvement or whatever they're trying to do. So it's not as if they're not purchasing. They're just purchasing a little bit differently, but they are purchasing. And if you have something that would make their life better, that's the content I would start to create.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say for, the restaurant industry, I feel like is another industry that's being
Right.
heavily impacted, especially those that are just local restaurants to the area that they're in. We're seeing challenges too with our customers. They've gone anywhere from 100% capacity all the way down now to some places like local coffee shops, whatever it may be, to 70% down at this
Mm-hmm.
time. What would you recommend for someone who is in that local restaurant industry? What are things that they could be doing right now to stay in touch with their customers and maybe even convert for those to-go orders too?
Sure. I think, and this is one of those marketing moments that you learn. If you're a small business, you might learn some hard, unfortunate lessons, and that is that you should probably have a database. And if you have a database, I would leverage that database heavily and email them things that can help them and then help them convert, right? So last night when we were done making dinner at the house, right, and you've got all these dishes because you're now making 3 square meals a day and you're essentially running your own local restaurant. My wife turned to me and she said, you know what, I'm not doing a dish tomorrow, so we're doing takeout. And that's the type of stuff that a local restaurant, if they're able to stay open and able to do delivery, that's the type of messaging that they can provide. Like, are you tired of doing dishes? We can help. We are open. Here's how you order, right? Here's how we're doing social distancing. Here's how we're doing delivery. Whatever the metric is that they're able to serve the public, they can do that. The difficult part comes, right, Hannah, is depending on how big the restaurant is, like they probably don't have any money to do much marketing with. Here's the interesting part though, right? Is you and I are both seeing the messages from Facebook about CPMs plummeting because people are leaving the platform from an advertising perspective. So even if you are a restaurant and have $5, you might be able to get some attention on that $5, right? So it's not hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars. You can leverage the fact that lots of large brands have stopped, and rightly so. And you can get that message out much, much cheaper than you would in a normal circumstance. And Hannah, you and I being in marketing know that we were all bracing for a different type of digital storm, which was the political dollars taking all of the oxygen out of those spaces. And so our CPMs were going to be huge.
Yeah.
Well, now we've got spare in just some minor marketing. You might be able to get, you might be able to get some messaging out cheaper than you would in any other circumstance.
Yeah, and we are definitely seeing that, especially for our customers who maybe haven't adjusted their ad spend budgets. They're keeping everything the same. Maybe they are a business. We have a company that we work with that's in heating and cooling, and
Yep.
it's about to get super hot here in the South. And so people are at home and now they have the time to be at home, have the technician come check on their AC unit, whatever it may be. And we've seen their average cost go from, oh my gosh, like almost $20 down
Right.
to when I checked it yesterday, it was like $7 a lead. And
Yep.
I'm like, ooh, okay. That's amazing. And now we're able to go even further with that budget that they had because the cost has dropped so significantly. So yes, we are certainly seeing that on our end too, and are encouraging people, same thing like you said, just to reiterate that, even if you have $5, $10, $20, even if you're hitting that boost post button, but be smart about how you're hitting that boost post button, and adjusting your radius and adjusting that target audience, for those small businesses and restaurants, especially, who are offering some level of takeout, delivery, whatever it may be. That's a really great way to get your messaging out. Curious if you've ever done this before too. So last week we did a digital social media summit on our Facebook page for all of our followers and sent it out to our email list as well. And one of the things that we talked about was the importance of having an email list, and how at this time you can use Facebook to grow your email list. Didn't know if you had any tips, tricks, insight on that that we could share here today.
My specialty is mostly in creation of content and organic content, right? And I obviously am well versed in the platform and do a lot of spend in that space, but we've got a team that does like the gnarlier stuff, the segmentation, right? So what I would say is, aside from whatever you would do in the segmentation and ad spend area, like think about ways in which your email list could actually help the customer and they want to open it, right? Because it's one thing to build a list. It's a totally another one for people to actually open your email. And everybody who is watching this on Facebook or will watch this later has probably a handful, 5 to 10 that they actually open, and probably 1,700 that they just delete, right? Yeah. Now, what is it about those 5 to 10 that you open, right? My parents live in Chicago, and there's a grocery store chain that's out of Cleveland that's also in Chicago called Heinen's. And that moment, Hannah, that most marketers have been sort of poking fun at, where every brand that you've ever bumped into since 1992 to present day that wants to tell you what they're doing about COVID-19, right? All those emails were boilerplate, exactly the same, from the ice cream place to the insurance company. This grocery store totally did something that I thought was awesome. Is their email was literally nothing about the store, nothing about what they're doing with COVID. They had a link at the bottom if you wanted to read it, but it was 5 tips that you could do right now to improve your health situation, meaning like switch from processed foods to fresh foods. Here's some recipes. Get out and exercise. Here's how long you have to do it. So it was 5 tips that I found extremely valuable. And I thought if somebody opened that, they would open the next one, and then the next one after that. And then you're continuing to build that trust with them, that when you send them something, when you interrupt their inbox, you're actually doing it with some sort of purpose. You're not just sending the deal of the day or whatever thing that they've got 1,400 of. You're sending something that they actually want to read. And so the 2 ways to build it are A, take advantage of the low CPMs, and B, on the other side, build a value that people actually want to read it. Because having a giant list and a bounce rate of 98 and a time on the email of 12 seconds is useless. You'd much rather have 10 people that spend an hour and a half reading it than tell 8 friends and actually convert. And so I would say value is how you build right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can definitely attest to those 1,700 other emails from every company that I've ever signed up for their email list that is blowing me up about what they're doing for COVID-19. I think that's an awesome example, and definitely something that we're starting to implement with one of our clients. They are actually a co-working space. And
wow.
So that, as you can imagine, is taking quite a hit right now. So we're trying to be creative in the types of content that we're providing to people on their email list, and trying to get people to join that email list so we can just continue to spread their message. And one of those things is, what are 5 tips that we haven't already seen on all the social media accounts, and things that you can do to best function and work from home? Because we all know that there are 1,000,001 distractions at home. Can you speak to any things that have been helping you during work from home season?
So I have this call today, and we have a sales touch base this morning with the team. And, I don't know what this says about how my daughter sees me in the normal days, but like I got put on a button down shirt today, and she goes, "Hey Dad, why are you wearing pants today?" I'm like, "Okay, great. This is awesome." Right. I think I've got an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old, and then there's 3 adults in this house that are all working full-time jobs. Right. And so for us, it was very important to segment the house into places we could go to do stuff like this. So there aren't any distractions. I can focus on speaking to you and doing what needs to get done right now. And then switching gears, right? When I'm done with this, I'm upstairs with the kids making lunch. And then we kind of do a a round robin sort of thing. If you don't have kids, I think it's important to lean into this technology and check in with people and not be alone. And, for your client, like, yeah, they probably took a hit financially, but what a great space to be in that you could continually pump out tips of how to change your workspace and how to work with multiple people in the house and how to go from having whatever your sense of normal is and driving to the workplace and coming home and doing that to all of a sudden being a homeschool teacher, a stay-at-home parent, and somebody who has to work from home all at the same time. Like, that's a company that I'm sure would have lots of value to speak on that. But for us, it's just been finding pockets in the house that we can just sort of go to, take important calls, and then get back into the general populace of the house. And try and stay out of the apparently skyrocketing divorce rate that's happening right now. So,
oh gosh. Yeah, I know. I'm imagining a lot of people being at home with their significant other,
yes,
spouse,
yes,
and just wanting to absolutely run away and get out of the house.
yes.
All right. Kind of last couple of things I wanted to chat with you about are what should, and I know we've kind of talked about this entire call, but what should the messaging be right now for a small business? We've touched on, we don't want to see everything about COVID-19. We want to see some messages of hope, some messages of positivity, things that have to do with your business, like you're saying, tips, how to use this product for a salon. What other types of content should they be putting out there outside of, hey, this is what our company's doing for COVID-19?
Yeah. I think honestly, what you're doing right now, right? Like, people want to see other people. And so whatever that means to your business, can you check in with your employees and show what their workspace looks like or what they're doing on a day-to-day basis? And the other thing is, and I don't know if you're seeing this a lot, but I'm seeing this a lot where these companies are doing stuff in the community to make things better and not seeing the value in telling that story, right? Where I was on a call yesterday with a company and they're trying to figure out, they're in commercial construction. What do we do? What message do we go through? And they're doing one of these 15-minute calls. And like at minute 14, one of them goes, oh, and by the way, all of our employees are making sack lunches for the kids who don't have school lunch, who need it. And I'm like, why don't you do that? Like, right? And so the point of that story is like, go look for outsiders to take a look at your company and see what stories you have hidden that you just don't see as obvious gems to tell. Because you're in it, right? You're trying to figure out payroll. You're trying to do all this stuff amidst the pandemic and then still fulfill, your need to make the community better. You might miss out on the fact that that is a story that you could put front and center right now and say, this is what we're doing, either for our employees or our community or both. But I would say branding and people, like, get people on your social channels so people can see other people. Don't continue to put on your Instagram the logo and some sort of text. It's not going to work. Like, get people out there and tell the stories that match the theme of the day. And despite the fact that there's a lot of bad news countrywide, right, in this process, I'm hopeful that a lot of people understand the following is, for a long time, Hannah, and I think you can echo this, marketing has often been seen as an expense, right? The thing that we got to figure out how we manage that expense. And I think what you're seeing right now from brands who are executing well is that marketing can be one of your biggest assets to drive sales and connect with customers. And my hope is on the outside, on the other side of whatever this looks like, is that companies start to understand that and put some value on how a marketing team of 1 or 150 can help you build bigger and better rapport with your customer and build up the team, right? Because as the team sees their stuff out in the ecosystem, whatever that is, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, they should feel a sense of pride that their company is doing some good and putting it out in the world so people can share it.
Yeah, absolutely. We just read a book in our office called Know What You're For by Jeff Henderson.
Yep.
And in that book, he talks about the power of social media and how it is truly one of the few marketing forms that you actually get to directly connect and build a relationship with your customer. If I'm driving down the road and I see a billboard for my favorite restaurant, they have no idea that I've A, seen that billboard, and B, they can't talk back to me through that billboard. And so now, more than ever, I would love to see some stats after all of this ends on the increase of social media use from before this hit the United States fully, and how much time people are spending on social media right now, because I'm sure it has absolutely skyrocketed, and we can see that as we see CPM drop so much. But this is the opportunity. This is the time to build that relationship with your customers, to make sure you're responding back to as many of those comments as possible, making sure that your customers, your prospective customers for someday down the road, when they do have more disposable income to be able to spend on your product, they're going to remember you during this time, especially the more and more good quality content that you're putting out, the more video that you're putting out, the more tips that you're sending out, whether that's from your email list or that you're sharing on your social media. This is the time. Do not hide. Do not abandon your social media, whether that's your Instagram, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, whatever it is that your business uses. Don't abandon your TikTok. Maybe you get a TikTok during this time.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, and that would be the other thing I would say, Hannah, is like, outside of your work life, you all of a sudden have a little bit of extra time that you weren't counting on. And so, to your point, there has never been in the history of the internet more people on the internet than right now. And so if you've ever thought that in your other life that isn't your work life about starting a blog, starting a podcast, starting vlogging on YouTube, starting a TikTok, whatever that is, now is the time to go. There is no better time to go, because people are looking for content at a volume that is, to your point, Hannah, when we see those numbers, they will be hard to digest, right? People spending 21 hours a day on their phones is going to be hard to digest, but that might be what we see. And so if you're looking for an outlet, a creative outlet to kind of keep your mind moving when the work ends and you want to do something else, now's the time to start and put something out there, because honestly, there's never been a better time for that to happen. And so I just wanted to make sure that I kind of got that out there. Go do something, make something.
Yes, absolutely. There are so many resources that are available to us to get started. There are tons. YouTube is a beautiful thing, people. Google is a beautiful thing. If you don't know how to do it, there are surely people in your community, people in the internet community, like Eric and myself, who want to help you learn how to do those things. And so, yeah, now is the time. Eric, do you have any recommendations for if a business is not on some sort of social media right now? Let's say they're only on Facebook. Where else should they be spending their time?
So that's a difficult question without knowing what they do. But what I would say is, and you and I connected on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a place where the stat I've been using, and I saw it a month ago and it blew me away, but like it paints it in a very interesting light. If you're not on LinkedIn and should be, I want you to understand that there are 9 billion with a B monthly impressions on that platform and 3 million with an M pieces of content. There is a giant gap between the amount of people looking and the amount of stuff made on that platform. And so if you're a brand that should be on LinkedIn and can make and tell stories, you will see instant connection, like instantly, in a way that you won't see on any other platform, save for, like you said, maybe TikTok 3 months ago. Now that everyone's kind of, it's being downloaded like frenetically, I don't know that you quite get the leap that you used to get. But right now on LinkedIn, so few people make stuff on that platform. They just go to either connect or consume, that if you can create on LinkedIn, that would be the one I would add. If you're visual, it's Instagram, TikTok, or Snapchat, depending on what your appetite is for those apps. And specific to Instagram, I would start with stories, because you'll go farther than you will in the feed.
Yeah, definitely. Wholeheartedly agree with that. Anything else that you'd like to add today?
No, I mean, I think this is fun.
A lot.
Yes, right.
Awesome. Well, Eric, thank you so much for going live here with us on the Ugly Mug marketing page. Like Eric mentioned before, he is still offering his 15-minute coffee chats. If you want to sit with him, pick his brain about your business, what stories you could be telling during this time, maybe a new app or a new platform of social media you want to get started on during this time. Now is the time. Thank you so much, Eric, for joining us today. And
You're
thank you
welcome.
who watch this or who watch it later. And we'll talk with you guys again soon. Bye, Eric.
See you, Hannah. Bye.